first thing you need to
Welcome
understand
to
in this
Total
Kansas City
Chiefs News.
conversation is that the reaction around this Week 1 matchup is way louder than the reality. The Chiefs get Denver at Arrowhead to open the season, and the Broncos crowd is acting like the league just handed Kansas City the crown on a silver platter. Come on now. That's not what happened. This is Chiefs News today, and the truth is, a lot less dramatic than the meltdown would have you believe. If anything, this setup might actually help Denver more than it helps the Chiefs, and that is where people keep tripping over their own outrage. Look at it from a football standpoint, not from a feeling standpoint. Yes, the Broncos won the West. Yes, they hosted an AFC championship. And yes, they'd love to act like that automatically guarantees them some kind of special reward. But the NFL does not work that way. The only team that truly gets the clean, deserved home opener is the Super Bowl champion. And that belongs to Seattle this year. Everybody else, it's a toss-up. That is just how it works. So when Broncos fans start pounding the table like they were robbed, they are ignoring the most basic part of the equation. The Chiefs were in the same position not long ago, and their reward was a Week 1 trip to Brazil. That was not some cozy little welcome back party. That was a long haul, a weird setup, and a reminder that the schedule does not care about your feelings. And here is the part that should really make Denver fans pause. If you are the Broncos, would you rather see Patrick Mahomes at Arrowhead in Week 1, or would you rather wait until later in the year and get him at Mile High when the conditions are in your favor? That is not a trick question. Later in the season, you get your home crowd, the altitude, the noise, and the edge that comes with playing in Denver. That matters a lot. Week 1 is not the same environment. Week 1 is the matchup with more uncertainty, more rust, more questions, and, in this case, maybe more volatility for Kansas City because Mahomes is coming back from the ACL tear. That is exactly why the Broncos should not be crying about this. If anything, the Chiefs getting them early could be the cleaner path for Denver, not the harshest one. Now, that does not mean this game is easy for Kansas City. Not even close. Chiefs fans know better than to hear Week 1 at Arrowhead and assume it's a walk in the park. Denver has given the Chiefs problems, period. 4 wins in. The last 5 meetings is nothing to shrug off, even if you want to put an asterisk next to a couple of those games. The point still stands. This is a tough matchup. Denver is well coached, they play with confidence, and they have enough talent to make life annoying for anybody. And in the NFL, annoying teams are often the ones that cost you early season games when everybody is still figuring things out. That is why this one has real juice. It is not just Chiefs news because a schedule got leaked. It is Chiefs news because the schedule leak reveals something bigger about how teams, fans, and analysts think about advantage, timing, and fear. A lot of the noise around this game is really just people reacting to the idea of Mahomes and the Chiefs being the headline again. That part is funny, honestly. They always want to act like Kansas City gets some unfair magic trick, but the reality is much simpler. The Chiefs are still the measuring stick. And when a team draws them early, everybody suddenly starts writing think pieces like it is a national emergency. The best part for Kansas City is that this matchup gives you an immediate read on where the team stands right out of the gate. You do not have to wait around for some soft opener to learn something useless. You get a real test. You get a divisional game. You get a rival with enough pride to make it interesting. And you get the Chiefs at Arrowhead. A lot of fans off. You hear third place team, and naturally you expect an easier path. That is how it's supposed to work, right? Well, not exactly. And this is where a lot of the off-season schedule discourse turns into pure noise instead of actual football logic. The first thing to understand in this Kansas City Chiefs news discussion is that strength of schedule rankings are always incomplete. Every single year, people treat them like gospel in May. And every single year by October, half the league looks completely different than we expected. Teams change fast in the NFL. One off-season can flip a roster upside down. Coordinators leave, quarterbacks regress. Rookie classes either hit immediately or disappear. Free agent signings that looked incredible in March suddenly look awful by November. So when you see the Chiefs sitting near the top of the league in schedule difficulty based on opponents' win percentage from last season, you have to take a breath before acting like the sky is falling. That said, the schedule is still brutal. There is no sugarcoating that part. You are talking about division games against Denver and the Chargers twice each. Those are not free wins anymore. Those are fistfights. Denver just came off a huge season, and the Chargers are one of those teams that can look average one week and terrifying the next. Division games already come with built-in chaos because these teams know each other too well. Add in the emotional factor, the familiarity, and the rivalry element, and suddenly every AFC West matchup feels like it could swing on 2 or 3 plays. Then you stack Buffalo on top of that, then New England, then the NFC West. That is where things get nasty. Seattle is the defending Super Bowl champion, which means every team on their schedule is going to get their absolute best shot. The Rams still have enough firepower to turn a game into a track meet if you let them.
Breathe. San Francisco might not be the same juggernaut they were a few years ago, but nobody with that much talent is ever easy to deal with. And honestly, even Arizona becomes dangerous if you catch them on their wrong week because divisional-style physical teams can drag games into ugly territory fast. This is why Chiefs news today feels so fascinating right now. The record from last year says one thing, but the reality of the roster says another. Nobody actually believes this is a true 6-11 football team. That is the key detail. The NFL schedule formula does not care about context. It just sees the record, it sees placement, it spits out opponents. But human beings watching football know Kansas City is not some rebuilding bottom feeder crawling through a reset year. This is still Patrick Mahomes. This is still Andy Reid. This is still a franchise everybody circles on the calendar whether they admit it publicly or not. And honestly, that is part of why the easy schedule.
Expectation was always fake to begin with. People hear third-place schedule and think the Chiefs are suddenly going to spend the year beating up weak teams. That is not how this works. Only 3 games on the schedule are directly tied to division placement. 3. That is it. Everything else is rotational and predetermined years in advance. So even though Kansas City finished 3rd in the division, the overall slate was still going to be difficult because of the divisions lined up on the rotation this season. And funny enough, when you actually compare the 3rd-place opponents versus the hypothetical 1st-place opponents, the difference is not even massive. Instead of Pittsburgh, you get Cincinnati. Honestly, if Joe Burrow stays healthy, that may be harder. Instead of Jacksonville, you get Indianapolis, which some people would actually prefer anyway, given all the uncertainty surrounding the Jaguars. So the whole, they should have an easy schedule because they finished.
Third thing sounds cleaner than it actually plays out in reality. Here is the bigger issue, though, and this is something Chiefs fans should really pay attention to going into the year. The margin for error is gone. That is what difficult schedules do. They expose weak position groups. They punish slow starts. They magnify injuries. Last season, Kansas City could not consistently run the football, and defenses knew it. They basically forced the Chiefs' offense to play on hard mode every week.
When you become one-dimensional in this league, good defenses start teeing off on you. Now imagine trying to survive a loaded schedule while still having major questions at receiver and still trying to reintegrate Mahomes after the ACL recovery. That is why this season feels so important for the front office and coaching staff. The encouraging part is that the Chiefs did not sit around pretending nothing was wrong. They attacked the run game. They upgraded coaches. They brought back Eric Bieniemy. They made structural changes instead of just blaming bad luck. That matters. Smart organizations self-correct quickly, and Kansas City knows the roster last year was not good enough around Mahomes. And make no mistake, the pressure is already building. Because if the Chiefs start slow again against this schedule, the national media is going to explode with takes about dynasties ending, Mahomes declining, and the AFC finally moving on from Kansas City. You already know how that works. The second the Chiefs stumble, people start dancing on the grave before checking if the body is actually there. But here is the thing that keeps this team dangerous. Everybody outside the building seems more worried about Kansas City than the Chiefs themselves. That confidence still exists. That edge still exists. And even with one of the toughest schedules in football, nobody in the AFC is going to relax when they see Mahomes lined up across from them. That part has not changed at all. The most divisive conversation in Chiefs news right now, it might honestly be the wide receiver room, because depending on who you ask, this group is either painfully average or an outright disaster waiting to happen. There does not seem to be much middle ground. You have one side saying the Chiefs desperately need another proven veteran or the offense is cooked. And then you have another side acting like everything will magically fix itself because Mahomes is still under center. The truth, it is somewhere in the middle, and honestly, that middle ground is what makes this whole situation so fascinating heading into the season. Here is the reality Chiefs fans need to accept right now. This receiver room does not have a true alpha. It just doesn't. There is not a Justin Jefferson type guy here. There is not a Jamar Chase level matchup nightmare that defensive coordinators lose sleep over before kickoff. Kansas City has good pieces, useful pieces, dangerous pieces in certain situations. But that undominant coverage dictating WR1, that guy is still missing. And yet, at the same time, people calling this the worst receiver room in football are going way overboard. Come on now. There are teams around the league with rooms held together by duct tape and wishful thinkings. The Raiders look rough. Miami's room has major concerns. There are offenses out there praying somebody develops into a reliable option. Kansas City is not in that tier. The bigger issue is that the Chiefs' standard is different. When you have Patrick Mahomes, people are not grading your offense against average teams. They are grading it against championship expectations. That changes everything. Now let's talk about Rashee Rice because he is the key to this entire conversation. Rice is tailor-made for the kind of offense Andy Reid wants to run. Quick hitters, slants, motion, yak opportunities. Get the ball out fast and let him turn into a running back after the catch. When he gets rolling, he brings a physical edge that this offense badly needs. Defenders bounce off him. He creates chaos underneath. And when the offense is flowing, he feels like one of those players who can completely control momentum for stretches of a game. But there is still a difference between being extremely effective inside a system and being a true elite WR1 who can beat every type of coverage whenever the offense absolutely needs it. That is where the debate gets uncomfortable. Because when defenses tighten up late, in games, when the pass rush gets home, When the offense needs somebody to win instantly against man coverage, who is that guy? Rice can absolutely dominate certain looks, but there are still limitations. Chiefs fans saw some drops last year. They saw stretches where the offense still struggled to create explosive plays consistently. Those concerns are real. Now, Xavier Worthy is probably the biggest swing factor in this entire room. If he takes the leap everybody hopes he can take, suddenly the entire conversation changes. Speed like that bends defenses whether the ball goes his way or not. Safeties panic. Corners start cheating. Defensive coordinators lose their comfort. And that matters because explosive speed creates opportunities for everybody else. Worthy healthy for a full season could completely alter the geometry of this offense. That is why Chiefs news today keeps circling back to upside. This room may not be elite on paper, but there are pathways for it to become dangerous, fast if the development happens correctly. And honestly, the coaching upgrades matter more than people realize. A veteran receivers coach like Chad O'Shea is not some random footnote. That is experience. That is accountability. That is detail work. The Chiefs clearly believed the offense lacked discipline and consistency last year because they aggressively addressed the infrastructure around the skill positions. Bringing Eric Bieniemy back adds another layer of intensity too. Love him or hate him, players know Bieniemy demands urgency. He is not interested in excuses or soft coaching. Sometimes teams need that edge after a disappointing year. Then you factor in the upgraded running game, and suddenly the offense starts making a lot more sense structurally. This is the part casual fans overlook constantly. A bad run game ruins everything. Last year, defenses did not respect Kansas City's ground attack at all. They sat back, clogged passing lanes, and forced Mahomes to operate under constant pressure situations. That puts stress on the receivers every single snap. When defenses know you cannot run consistently, the passing game becomes dramatically harder no matter who your receivers are. So if the running back room improves the way Kansas City expects it to, the receivers automatically benefit. Play action becomes dangerous again. Linebackers hesitate. Safeties creep forward. Windows open up. Football is connected that way. One fix can unlock 3 other areas instantly.
Still, even with all that optimism, it is hard to shake the feeling that Kansas City probably needs one more veteran addition before this room feels complete. That is why names like Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs keep floating around in conversations. A proven veteran changes the entire emotional temperature of the room. Suddenly you are not depending entirely on projection and development. Suddenly Mahomes has another trusted target in critical moments. Suddenly defenses have to prepare differently. And for a team trying to bounce back immediately after a frustrating season, that kind of security matters. If you ask me where this room ranks league-wide right now, it is probably somewhere around average. Maybe slightly below average overall, but with higher upside than people want to admit. The ceiling depends almost entirely on development, health, and whether the offensive structure around them actually improves. That is what makes this such a huge storyline heading into the year.
Because if the run game works and Worthy explodes, this conversation disappears fast. But if the offense stalls again early in the season, the criticism is going to get loud in a hurry. That is why this upcoming year feels massive for the future direction of the offense and honestly, for the entire perception of this franchise after last season. The Chiefs do not need perfection. They just need balance. They need enough explosive plays to keep defenses honest. They need enough consistency to stop putting Mahomes in impossible situations every week. And if they get that, this team becomes dangerous again immediately. Now I want to hear from you, Chiefs fans. Where do you rank this wide receiver room right now compared to the rest of the NFL? Do you think Kansas City absolutely needs another veteran? Or are people underrating the group already on the roster? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this is going to be one of the biggest debates all season long. And if you enjoyed this Kansas City Chiefs news breakdown, make sure you subscribe to Total Chiefs News, like the video, and turn on notifications so you never miss Chiefs news today when it drops. We are pushing hard towards 7,000 subscribers, and every single Chiefs fan joining the channel helps build this community even bigger heading into the season. Until next time, how about those Chiefs?